Hi all. I think some of you have already enrolled to the PPDS training curriculum, and we wanted to take this opportunity to also keep this session open for other participants who are probably thinking whether ePPDS would help them aspiring their goals, right? Widening their exposure from planning perspective and from the consultant perspective as well as from the organization perspective, what are the activities which are carried out within this specific process of production planning and detailed scheduling. We have Nikhil with us, who will be our trainer for today and going forward for this curriculum. I'll be just facilitating the trainings and support him wherever required. I know this session might be a repetitive for some of you, and for some of you it would be a new one. Before we get into the start, would like to know how many of you have experience or exposure to SAP, specifically in the production planning area. And specifically, if you have exposure to SAP APO PPDS, you can also elaborate that in the chat. Let me see if Nikhil is able to hear us.
Yeah, okay. I'm on, Sam?
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
audible.
okay. Sorry, I think there was some I think, problem. Okay. So, hello everyone. Myself, Nikhil. Okay, so I will be covering up this ePPDS part or session. Okay. And what I understand from the chat that majority of the participant having a PP background. That's good. That's one of the good part when we discuss the session on the ePPDS. Okay, and I think one of the participant are also having a background of APU. Okay, that's also a good. Okay, so what we will do in this today's session, we will be trying to give an overview of ePPDS. Okay, what is basically what I can say the capability features of the ePPDS. Okay, and we will also talk about something about the S4 HANA. Okay, and we will be talking about the MRP versus ePPDS functionality. Okay, so these three part we will be touch basing. Okay, so and in between, if suppose you have any questions, you can stop and you can ask, or you can put on the chat also. Okay, if any related to the PPDS or planning you have. Okay. So let me share the screen. Okay, so I will just jump to one of the slides. Okay, where I will give a short background of the S4 part. Okay, so let me share the screen. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So this is basically a slide which I am trying to talk on the S4 HANA. Okay. Earlier the PPDS part was in the APO. Okay. After this S4 HANA, SAP has brought the particular part of PPDS into an embedded S4 HANA. Okay. Now, what's this S4 HANA? What is behind this S4 HANA basically? Okay. So this is basically they have done the enhancement SAP. Okay, which has a FUD. Definitely all the T codes which we were our planner using in the in GUI, those transactions are now accessible through a few apps, which can be accessed through a desktop and the mobile applications. Okay, that's one part of this S4 HANA development. Okay, and the second is basically a data module, and because of this data module, okay, the performance of MRP is very much fast as compared to the earlier when we are using the MRP run. Okay, and because of this data, hence, and the response time which I'm talking about, because they had some technical things done in the S4 HANA, and because of which the MRP execution performance is much faster than the earlier which we used. Okay, and definitely there is a new code they have written it. Okay, and it is a cloud a platform basically. So okay, so these are the basically features, okay, which is behind the S4 HANA part. Okay, now if you talk about the ePPDS capabilities and the futures, okay, it's a next generation product. Okay, and it helps the planner to plan the production in detail, and also product with a long lead time that produce on the bottleneck resource, taking into product and capacity constraint into account, okay, which is missing in the earlier MRP. Okay, with this PPDS, both material planning and the capacity is simultaneously is built up. Okay, whereas in the earlier MRP, it was not possible. It has to do done separately. Now, ePPDS has the functionality where both MRP and the CRP is simultaneously carried out. Okay, and the basic objective of ePPDS to have the resource scheduling and the sequence optimizing. Okay, considering the changeover time. Okay, which is there in the master data. Okay, and it creates the finite production plan. Okay, within a short horizon period. Now this horizon days is basically what I can say in the master data, the provision SAP has provided through which a planner can control the short term or a long term. For we will see this particular functionality when we jump into the system. Okay, so what I mean to say, the objective is basically for the resource scheduling and the sequencing to create the infinite planning for the horizon days, which we call a short term planning horizon days. Okay, so this is basic objective of the ePPDS. Okay, and as I said that MRP and CRP simultaneously is being run. Okay, for a better accuracy. Okay, and the second part is that the PPDS model is now a part of the S4 HANA, and a separate APO system is no longer needed. Okay, that's they have just cut off from the APO. Okay, and all transaction can be accessed directly from the S4 HANA, meaning that end user no longer has to switch between the two systems. Earlier, we have to switch into the APU system and then come to the S4 or ECC system, okay, to see the transaction. So now it's a embedded system in the one system itself. Okay, and so this is basically ePPDS capability and the features. Okay, now if you talk about the benefits on the right side, if you can see the benefits, SIF integration. Okay, a very simplified they have made the SIF very simplification. Okay, earlier in the APO, continuous monitor is required for the SIF to check the data has been flow from the ECC to APO or APO to SIF. Okay, so that simplification SAP has brought in this embedded PPDS. Okay, only few integration module is required. Okay, which is a very one-time basic basically. Okay, and the second part is that benefit is that it integrates the forecast data from the external system also. Okay, there is a provision, okay, where we can upload the forecast data from the Excel sheet also, or we can integrate the S4 data from the third party system, okay, to the S4. Okay, between there is a SAP standard tool is available, which we call as a CIDS. Okay, there's a middleware, okay, through which the integration automatically can be happen of the forecast data from the either we can say IBP or any external system. Okay, and the third feature is that graphical features. All data are represented graphically. Okay, which we will see the planning board. Few apps we will see it. Okay, and ePPDS supports the setup matrix data. Okay, and consider the changeover time to optimize it. Okay, we will see this scenario also in the system when we go into the system of how it reads the setup group and setup matrix data. Okay, and last is that the rescheduling. Okay, the ePPDS planner can reschedule the operation. Okay, in the time access option or order time granularity can be increased or decreased either what I can say hourly or monthly. Okay, so those flexibility is available in the Fury apps. Okay, so this is basically ePPDS capability in the futures. If you have any question or doubt to ask on this before I move to the comparison between the MRP and PPDS. Any question participant had, you can ask for this. Okay, so let me move to the
Nikhil,
yeah.
Swapnil here.
Yeah.
So how it will work along with the capacity planning, like capacity planning and capacity evaluation? Still, do we require these apps like capacity evaluation and capacity leveling, or it will be done under PPDS only?
Two options available. Okay, one, a constraint planning concept and the unconstrained planning. Now, when we run the PPDS, okay, with a heuristic, okay, there is algorithm given, okay, heuristic usually plan unconstrained. It means that it will not see any capacity constraint nor a material. Okay. However, in the ePPDS, you may have heard about the optimizer algorithm. SAP has provided this optimizer algorithm. When we run this MRP with the optimizer algorithm, what it does, it will plan the order respecting your capacity, resource capacity, and the material constraint. What I mean to say, if there is no resource capacity available to fulfill the demand in a particular date or a bucket, it will drop that demand. It will not plan. It will accommodate only that particular demand quantity which it can fulfill considering the capacity available in that. Okay, that's an optimizer. That is basically optimizer algorithm when you run that. Okay. However, SAP has provided the flexibility also to a planner. Now, if suppose there is no capacity available in the particular bucket with some master data, you can tell the algorithm, yeah, please, you find in the future if there is any capacity available, you push the demand there and plan it. Okay. And that particular master data we will also see in the system. So to answer your question, okay, yes, this ePPDS plan the order considering the capacity of the resource simultaneously.
So Nikhil, for the benefit of others, what we understood in summary, there are two kinds of planning approaches, right?
Yeah.
One is unconstrained planning, which is an infinite capacity
Yes.
planning, and
Yes.
second one is the constraint-based planning.
Best
right?
plan.
So
Yes.
unconstrained or infinite-based planning, the equivalent algorithm provided by SAP is called as heuristics. Whereas in order to support the constraint-based planning, we have an advanced algorithm called as optimizer.
Yes.
So behavior of those two algorithms are totally different. Infinite planning would look into the capacity, but it will not try to label it. Whereas optimizer would look into the capacity, it will also respect the capacity supply and try to fulfill the demand if the capacity is available. Otherwise, it will suggest the unfulfilled demand.
Exactly.
Got it. While doing that, it will also respect the bottlenecks of material availability.
Yeah.
Right? That's how optimizer would work from the constraint-based planning perspective, which is more of a advanced algorithm than heuristics. Yeah. Thanks, Nikhil. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. Yeah, that's correct. Okay. Hope I answered. We answered your question. Okay. So let's move
Yes,
ahead.
yes, thank you.
Yeah. Let's move ahead. Okay. So I think we have already talked about the capability and the futures. Okay. As we mentioned that there is a heuristic, okay, which is basically unconstrained. And the second is scheduling and optimizing, which is an optimizer. Okay. And after the MRP has generated that particular data, okay, that result can be visible in this capacity utilization app to see whether my resource is being overloaded or underloaded. The SAP has provided that apps which we'll see in the system. Okay, when we log into the system, we'll see this. Okay. So that's okay. Now, before I move to that comparison between the MRP and ePPDS, I just want to showcase this particular flow. Okay, in the S4 HANA, okay, there are two type of MRP which SAP at present provided. One is classic MRP, which is basically an old MRP. In the PP world, we used to call this particular algorithm, that is classic MRP. Okay, and the latest one, okay, in the S4 HANA, there is a MRP life. Okay, so at any given moment of time, okay, when we run the MRP, okay, internally it check the compatibility. Okay, which algorithm I should call, whether I should call a classic MRP or whether I should call it the MRP life. Okay, there is a MRP list app is available which give a detailed explanation okay, why this MRP run has called the classic MRP on the MRP life. Okay, I have given these SAP notes. Okay, there is some restrictions. Okay, when we run the MRP, okay, the MRP will call the MRP live or a classic MRP. Okay, now if I go to the flow, okay, external planning. If suppose the MRP type is ND, it means that there is no planning will happen. So I think if you see the material master data, there is a field called MRP type. If the value of the MRP type is ND, it means no planning will happen. Okay. Then in the material master, there under the advanced planning tab, okay, one indicator is given. If that indicator is ticked, it means that you use the heuristic of the PPDS. Okay, if the advanced planning indicator is tick is yes, then it will call the ePPDS algorithm. It may be a heuristic or it may be optimizer. Okay, if the advanced planning filter is not ticked, then it will go and check the compatibility. Okay, and it will accordingly run either MRP live or a classic MRP. Okay, so this is basically a flow when we run the MRP in the S/4HANA. Okay, any question on this flow? And this SAP notes, if you go and look into this, the entire detail is given when the classic MRP has been called and when the MRP live has been called. Okay, so that's okay. Now let me go to a slide where we will talk about the difference between the MRP and the PPDS. Okay,
Yeah.
What is the key difference basically? As I said that, or we in the earlier, PPDS planning, basically we use for capacity, basically. Okay, finite, to do the finite planning, we use the PPDS. Now, if you can see this differences, okay, plan the material based on the requirement, explosion, okay, infinite capacity. So MRP basically infinite capacity. It works on the infinite capacity, whereas ePPDS, finite capacity planning is there. Okay. If we run the MRP, okay, it will not read the setup times and the transitions. Whereas if we run the ePPDS algorithm, it has a capability to read the setup time and transition and optimize it. Okay. Okay. And the third most important difference between the MRP and the ePPDS MRP is that there are many advanced scenarios which a business wants in today's world, which MRP doesn't support. Okay, whereas the ePPDS, for an example, okay, if we talk about the resource networking, okay, this resource networking, basically MRP doesn't support. But when we configure the master data and we use the PPDS, okay, it will support the resource network. What I mean to the resource networking, if suppose I have a material which a planner wants to produce in the multiple resources, and if we define the master data in the system, and if we run the PPDS heuristic, then if there is no capacity available for one resource, automatically it will switch and search the capacity in other resource, and it will plan. And also a planner can do the drag and drop of the plan order between this resource network. Okay, this is one example I've given. Okay, this is an advanced scenario which MRP doesn't support. Similarly, if we talk about the campaign planning, okay, similarly, if we talk about the tolling, that is subcontracting. So those all advanced scenario, MRP doesn't support, but ePPDS support. Sorry, there was any question?
So Nikhil, I think a good crisp explanation on the MRP versus PPDS functionality, right? I was just going a couple of steps back and just trying to visualize the overall process from the organization perspective.
Okay.
Right. So if we look at overall supply chain planning process, we know there is a function called as demand planning. There is a function called as supply planning, which will act as a replenishment planning function. Most of the time, this supply planning function is an tactical planning process which covers your midterm to long-term horizon, right? It could be around 2 years or 3 years. The purpose of supply planning is to also determine the replenishment proposals, but in the midterm or long-term horizon. Also determine the production plan. However, that production plan is more from the rough cut capacity planning. Right? So people would have those doubts in mind that how does PPDS differentiate from the midterm supply planning process? So one important parameter here is Supply planning would cover your midterm or long-term horizon, more of a rough cut capacity planning process from the organization perspective. Whereas there is a subsequent function of determining a detailed level of production plan, which is in a very short term period. It could be for 2 weeks, it could be for 3 weeks or 4 weeks based on organizations, right? And within that 4 weeks of short term plan, the objective is to get to the SKU as well as resource level, not only in a daily buckets, but even in a hourly or minute wise buckets, right?
Yes.
So PPDS will play a key role for the short term production planning process, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Right.
Correct. You're
So
correct.
that's how I'm just trying to differentiate my thought process, that how PPDS fits into the overall supply chain planning horizon. It is a short-term planning process. SAP do not stop you to use it even for the midterm horizon, but normally I have seen organizations using APO SNP tool for the midterm horizon and APO PPDS for short term during olden days. Now it's being replaced by IBP response and supply for the midterm horizon for supply planning, and the short term is now transitioned to ePPDS within S4. That's how overall architecture would look like, right? When you want to place your thoughts, where the midterm planning would happen, where the short term planning would happen, right? So let's try to also have a high level picture in our mind while understanding these concepts. This will also help you to know which area you have to focus, right? It is a logical movement for us to transition from SAP PP consultant to S4 ePPDS consultant, right? And if I need to aspire that, if I need to be an ePPDS consultant, what are the functionalities from SAP side that I need to learn? And what are the processes from the short-term planning side which I need to be exposed to? That's my focus, right?
Yeah, correct. You're correct.
Go ahead, Nikhil. Go
So
ahead.
yeah, so as Sam mentioned that okay, PPDS is basically for short-term planning. Okay, so SAP has provided the flexibility in the material master. Okay, to define the number of days for which a planner has to do the short-term planning. Okay, with that particular field value, a planner can have a short-term. Okay, when we log into a system, we will see there is a PPDS horizon field is there. If suppose planner have mentioned 30 days, it means that okay, whatever demand is there within these 30 days, system will plan and respect that. Whatever demand is beyond this 30 days, system will drop it. Okay, with this 30 days, 90 days, 60 days, okay, the value, the planner can control the short term horizon. Okay, we will see that part also. Okay. So if I move to this MRP versus PPDS key differences, okay, let me go to the second part of this, okay, where you can see this a detailed sequence of production order, bottom up and top down planning. This is basically algorithm. Okay, this bottom up and top down is a PPDS heuristic algorithm. Okay, which do the basically pegging of the demand in the receipt item. So you don't have to. Plus, TPDs also have the functionality of product or material interchangeability, which MRP doesn't happen. MRP doesn't. Okay. And neither MRP will read the setup group and sequencing optimization. Okay. MRP is a very simple, okay, it plans and give the plan order, okay, and the purchase requisition, okay, without considering any capacity or material constraint. Whereas PPDs have a broad, I think, functionality. Okay. Let's move to third slide on this. Okay. And here you can also see the self-life. Okay. There is a self-life concept in the production planning, which MRP doesn't support, but PPDS respect this self-life planning also. Okay. And the result of the MRP, okay, it's through a Fury graphical visualization is available, okay, which I was talking about planning board, okay, detailed scheduling board, then the monitor utilization app, okay, through that data can be visualized in a graphical way. Okay, and as we already discussed about this heuristic and optimizer, okay, which is an algorithm basically, which we will see in the system, how we can generate the rough cut unconstrained plan and also a constraint-based plan. Again, how we have to set that particular profile. Okay, and we have a maintenance order also in this PPDS, okay, which is basically used to block the resource bucket. Okay, whereas all these features is not available when we run the MRP. Okay. So this is basically a difference between the MRP and PPDS, and the whole point is that finite and infinite. MRP support the infinite planning, whereas PPDS support the finite planning. Okay, and detailed scheduling also can be done, and planner can do automatic capacity leveling also based on the setup group or any parameters which is defined in the config. So this is all about the MRP versus ePPDS in the S/4HANA. If any participant had any question in mind or want to ask, please feel free to ask in this session. We will try to answer that.
Hey, Nikhil, this is Ranjan. I have a quick question. Maybe you will answer in upcoming sessions. But just this point of time, I have a quick question. When we talk about MRP, I know that MRP consider the infinite capacity. And when you talk about the PPDS heuristics, which is also you said is unconstrained planning, which is kind of infinite capacity. So what is difference? Like MRP also infinite? I know maybe heuristics will have more functionality, even though that considered as an infinite capacity. But at very high level, do you see any big difference between if we're using MRP or we are using the heuristics?
Yes, big difference. If you see in the SPRO, there is a heuristic maintain. If you go and see that, okay, there are multiple heuristic SAP has provided, okay, which does the functionality, different functionality. For an example, I have just mentioned above here the bottom-up heuristic. Okay, this is one of them. So there are a couple of heuristic which SAP has provided. What I mean to say this algorithm, okay, which SAP has provided, which a business can use or a planner can use, okay, for a specific scenarios. For a specific, whereas MRP doesn't have those algorithm. Those doesn't have that. Now, if I just quickly share the screen and then let's talk about that heuristic part also. Okay, let me go to this. Okay, now I am in this S/4HANA. Now, if you can see, there are multiple of heuristic. Okay, which SAP has provided. Okay, and planner can use any of them based on the requirement. Okay, these are all the heuristic. Not only this. If suppose planner wants to build the own custom heuristic, okay, that particular custom heuristic can be executed with the ePPDS, but not through MRP. That's a big difference. And I think I've seen in many of the organizations, they go for they have a specific requirement for which they want to build their own custom heuristic. Okay. For an example, here we have built one custom heuristic. We can say we have built up this custom heuristic. What it does, it do the sequencing based on the setup. So what I mean to answer your question is that this all heuristic is not available in the MRP.
Okay. Got it.
Okay, so that's a difference.
Okay.
That's a difference.
Maybe a common question which would come in mind is, Nikhil, whether we will touch base across multiple strategies, heuristic strategies during the training curriculum.
No, we will not cover all the things, but out of this, I think 3 or 4 I will be covering it.
That's the case, right?
Okay.
So
and I will also cover the service heuristic also, how it has been developed, and that also part I will cover, which will help them.
Right. So we'll select few algorithms and see how its behavior is from the production planning run perspective, right? Okay.
One question from my son, please. What is the plan of the training? Because here there is the heuristic for the production planning. There is the service heuristic, scheduling heuristic. Is there the PPO, for example, the production planning optimizer? Is there, for example, detailed scheduling optimizer? Is there CDP, block planning?
Okay. Okay. Should I answer? Okay. So if you talk about the CDP, so we will not be covering the CDP part. in this curriculum. Okay, what we will be talking about? We will be talking about this particular production planning, that is low level code. Okay, this we will be touch basing it. Okay, and we will be also touch basing this bottom up and top down. Okay, what is the functionality in the production planning which we can be used? Okay, and we will be also touch basing this one of the custom heuristic. Okay, which will be used to do the capacity leveling based on the setup. Okay, so we will be seeing this particular also for this last one. So this is custom basically. So more or less, I think 4 heuristic from this table we will be touch basing in the curriculum.
That's a valid point, Nikhil. I think ePPDS itself is a complex topic. We want to keep it as simple as possible so that even a fresher can understand it, even a SAP PP experienced person can understand it. Once the participants are at a specific maturity level from the understanding perspective, we can also have a subsequent advanced training only for those experienced people by covering other advanced algorithms. But here, as Nikhil, you rightly indicated, our focus is not to complicate the training sessions. We should keep it as simple as possible so everybody understands. And then only for the selected candidates, we can have a subsequent training curriculum for the advanced algorithms.
Exactly.
Sorry, one last question. I don't want to jeopardize the training. Is there an advanced session those days or no?
Yeah, it is not planned as of now. Right. In fact, from the S4 PPDS perspective, the plan is at least to have a couple of initial sessions, initial training curriculums completed, and then based on the number of participants interested for the advanced one, we may plan another one separately.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead, Nikhil.
Yeah. Any more questions before I just showcase some few Fury apps? Any question? Any participant wants to clear on the heuristic or ePPDS part before I just go into one of the Fury apps? Okay. Okay. Okay, so if you can see the screen, this is basically a Fury apps, okay, which can be, as I mentioned, this is a cloud-based, okay, can be accessed through mobile also. Okay, so what SAP has tried that maximum T codes which was executed in the GUI, okay, they brought into the Fury apps, okay, because the look and feel of this Fury apps is much better than the earlier GUI part. Okay, so I'll just go into one of the Fury apps here. Okay, there is a monitor capacity utilization app. Okay, so here this app basically planner used to see how my resources are being loaded. Okay, how it is below, whether it is overloaded or whether it is underloaded. This is overloaded or underloaded threshold. Okay, can be defined by the planner. The table is provided. Okay, that one time can be. Now, if you can see, I have given a 2 resource here. I have run the MRP here. Okay, and MRP has given the result or created a plan order. Okay, and it has said that okay, if I go into the detail. Okay, let me go into the detail. If I go into the detail. Okay. So it will show the bucket wise which particular bucket has been overloaded or underloaded based on the threshold which has been defined in the table. Okay. Now, if you can see, this is the threshold basically. Okay, which this orange, if you say the full utilization between 80% to 100%. Okay, whereas the green part it is a normal utilizations. Okay, now this is basically a unconstrained. Okay, what I mean to say that see the plan order has been planned. Okay, without leaving this bucket, without leaving this capacity of these resources. Okay, so this is very unconstrained heuristic I have run it. But when I try to schedule this, okay, with that custom heuristic which we were seeing it, so what it will do? It will align all the plan order, okay, and it will sort based on the common setup, and it will align all the orders one by one or in the sequence. Okay, that we will see in the upcoming session. Okay, how it is. Okay, So this is basically, if you can see, this is a look and feel. With this app, planner can easily can see okay, which of my particular resources has been having a bottleneck, okay, and the correction is needed. Now, if you can see this SFG resources, okay, which we can see in the red color, which is overloaded. Okay. Now we will, in upcoming session, we will see when we run the optimizer, okay, for the same set of the demand data, our optimizer will not plan more than 100%. It will drop the demand and it will plan only respecting this 80% to 100% capacity and plan it. Okay. So that both the features we will see in the how a heuristic run and optimizer. So this is basically a Fury app. Okay, and this can be viewed material-wise also, okay, which are the materials loaded on these particular resources, and activity, we can see the setup also, whether there is any setup optimization is there or not. So this all detail we will see in the upcoming session. Okay. So, and these are the orders generated for the SFG with the MRP run. Okay, so this is just one.
Nikhil,
Yeah.
Samuel. So
Yeah.
from the process perspective, I'm just trying to connect dots also here.
Yeah.
And then let's look at the different terminologies. There is a terminology called as planning time fence, right? And this is more relevant to short-term production planning horizon. So can you elaborate more on the planning time fence functionality?
Yeah. Okay. So let me just switch to just let me switch here. So in the screen only we can see the time fence. So there are two concepts. Let me open that transaction. There are two concepts or a material data, what I can say. One is the PPDS horizon days, and the second is the time fence days. So this time fence days is basically defined in the material master in one of the MRP tab, okay, where a planner says that my time fence is 10 days. What it means that when I run the MRP, okay, and if any plan order created within the 10 days of the time fence, okay, that particular plan order will automatically get fixed, or we can say confirmed. Or there is a tick mark, PP form. Okay, there is a tick mark, this PP form. Okay, you can see when we define the time fence, unfortunately, I am not defined the time fence for this material combination. When I define the time fence of 10 days, what will happen? This PP font, okay, will get automatically ticked. It means that this plan order is formed. And when my next MRP is being get generated, this will not get deleted because the time fence have already fixed this. Okay, so that's a functionality of the time fence. Whereas this is a PPDS horizon. What it means that okay, whatever demand lies in this particular date, when I run the PPDS heuristic, it will respect only those demand. If my demand is outside this PPDS horizon, it will drop. It will not plan it. So this is the difference between the time fence and the PPDS horizon.
So from the business angle perspective, Nikhil, if I visualize it correctly, let me know, right? So any organization probably look into the short-term production planning feature. Normally, the horizon could be 3 to 4 weeks. So take an example. I have a 4 weeks of production horizon. That means my PPDS horizon will be 4 weeks. Okay. And now, normally, whenever I execute orders, I split those orders in the weekly buckets. What I want to intend is any orders which are in the next week should be considered as firm, because I would have already aligned with my manufacturing execution shop floor team on what to be produced. The material already has been checked in the back end. The resources are made available. I do not want my production planning run to impact my next week's production plan. So I can set up a planning time phase of 1 week so that any orders within that next 1 week will be considered as firm. Subsequent planning run will not do any automatic changes in it. And the planning run will only impact the demands and orders between end of week 1 to week 4. That's how I try to link the planning time frames and PPDS version functionality. Am I correct?
Yeah, exactly. That's a functionality of. So this indicator you can see when you define the time frames, this particular PP form, it will get automatically ticked. It means your plan order is formed. Otherwise, planner has to do the manual task. That's a functionality of time frames. Any question, participant, on these two parameters?
Right. Maybe for people who would be seeing this product view for the first time, right? If I try to relate this with ECC or S4, earlier days we used to have a transaction code called MD04, stock requirement list, in ECC, which used to show me a demand versus supply balance plan, right? Or the demand signal situation versus supply signal or receipt signal situation in a tabular format. The same situation is visible now from the product view perspective, right? It's more of an advanced screen where I would be able to see the demand versus receipt situation based on the dates.
Yeah.
Right? So this is a simplistic view of old ECC or S4, whereas the advanced view will be in the product view.
Exactly.
So during the trainings, we will also emphasize more on specific commonly used transaction codes. We'll be familiar with those transaction codes. What's the difference between these advanced screens versus the old ECC screens, right? That will also give us more idea about how I, as a production planner, would be using those transaction codes or Fury apps to review the production planning results.
Exactly.
Nikhil, if you have the training curriculum handy, we can simply glance through it again and see if we can give more background to participants to emphasize what exact topics we are going to cover as part of this curriculum.
I think this is the document. Let me open this document.
Yes.
Let's Word file. Okay. Now, if you can see the screen, this is a curriculum topic which we will be covering. Now, the first is the production planning function. Then the advanced production planning with PPDS. Then we will be covering the master data required for the PPDS. So all the master data, okay, like a bill of material, and then recipe, production version, multiple production version. Okay, and then transferring this particular data to create the PDS, which ePPDS MRP requires. So those PDS also we will be going to see it. Okay, in the curriculum. Okay, and we will be also seeing the tools to evaluate and process planning. Okay, for an example, what I can say, the heuristic run or the optimizer run. Okay, what are the profiles used there? Okay, to execute those through Fury apps and through GUI, both we will see. Okay, and what different types of heuristic, as I shared the screen. We will also touch base few heuristic. Okay, we will see the SIP monitoring basically not required in this S4HANA. Continuous SIP monitoring is not required, as earlier in the APO we used to be. Okay, but I don't say it is not required. There is in background in S4 there is a mechanism of SIP for running. Okay, sometimes we have to run the CCR also. Okay, if the queue gets stuck, but not as the APO. Where the continuous SIP monitoring is required. So that part is not there. One-time SIP configuration is there. We will also see that also. Okay. How the data is being moved from the S4 to live cache. Okay, that also we will going to see it. And then the second part we will see the MRP run. Okay, that is both classic and the ePPDS, and that is MRP live. Okay, that we will going to see. The optimizer also we will going to see it. Okay, in this second part. And The third part, that is finite optimizer, basically. And multi-resource, basically multi-resource and single resource. Okay, that's also. We'll see the PDS, what I was talking about, production data structure, the resource, lot sizing. Okay. And then we will see the requirement strategy, that is basically consumption of the forecast to the incoming sales order. Okay, those strategies also we're going to see it. Okay. And pegging, and dynamic and fixed pegging, and that overview we're going to see it. And we'll see some of the every report to see the result of the MRP. Okay, so these are all the topic. Okay, in the system we'll go and try to showcase with some of the scenarios. Okay, with some of the scenarios we're going to see it.
So overall, Nikhil, if I want to aspire as a PPDS consultant, right? What I should know is I should be aware of the short-term planning process. So we'll give a brief about what happens exactly in the short-term production planning process. In order to implement ePPDS, what are the master data parameters which I should be comfortable with, right? Because those master data parameters are going to influence the planning results.
Yes.
Right? So most of the time we would see the planning results would have an issues because of the master data discrepancies. So we should be aware about those important master data fields. Then the next topic, as you rightly indicated, that how this master data is integrated between the core S4 versus ePPDS part of S4, right? What kind of SIF mechanism, when we say SIF, what kind of core interface it has to enable this data integration, right? As you rightly indicated, probably it is not as complex as it used to be earlier between ECC and APO. It's more simplified, and that's the reason why SAP thought of putting this PPDS functionality within S4 itself, right? So they reduced the possible integration issues. Once that is done, we will also get into more deep dive understanding of difference in the planning runs. What are different heuristic strategies available? What are the options available from the optimizer execution perspective? So that I understand how I can set up a simplified planning run versus a complex planning run, right? Based on the client needs. While doing that, there is a subsequent topic of detailed scheduling. So that means we should be also aware about DS board functionalities, which will help us to play a role of planner and see how do I set up those DS board configurations in order to help planner to execute the production plan. Right. That's how we will evolve our understanding from the training perspective and make sure we not only focus on system specific configurations or modeling, but we are, as a planner, I should be able to understand how these planning results are going to benefit me in the short term planning process. Right. I think Nikhil, you are showcasing one of the examples for DS board. Right?
I'm just showcasing one of the dashboard, advanced scheduling board. Okay. Okay. So if you can see, this is a Fury app. Okay, where you can see the plan order is being visible here. Okay, on the two resources. Okay, and there is a functionality. Okay, where you can see. It's a slow, I think. Let me go back again. Okay, so this is the advanced scheduling board. Okay, where a planner can run the heuristic or optimizer directly from this Fury app. They don't have to go to GUI to run those. Okay, and there are multiple functionalities here available in this advanced scheduling board, where a planner can do a drag and drop. Okay, can finalize the plan. Okay, and do the capacity leveling also. Okay, and you can see the order information also. Okay, the all graphical representation. I suppose I have selected this particular one order. Okay, this order is being packed with which demand. Okay, so those the pagging you can also see this here. You can see the pagging related information. It is back to the forecast. Okay, what is my setup group attached here? So all those things SAP has brought up in this Fury app. Okay, which I think the look and feel. Many planners like it, okay, and can do multiple things here. There is a alert facilities also there. We can see what type of alert system has generated, which we have configured, which planner has configured. Okay. And,
So Nikhil, do we use this app for dispatching the orders as well, or only just looking and
no,
for dispatching?
No. For dispatching, we don't. That's we are not using this for dispatching. It's only
okay. So this is not okay. So this is not the CM25 replica. This one. This is just a different one, right?
Different one. Exactly. Okay. This can be used only to do the capacity leveling, or whether to drag and drop and bring the plan order to different bucket.
Okay.
And to just visualize it.
Okay, and dispatching we use a different app, right?
A different one. Dispatching, I didn't get you. What do you mean by dispatching? Means you are sending the goods to
he means by dispatching it's scheduled status, scheduled and deallocated. There is no just Ranjan. There is no the same terminology in PPDS. In CM25, it's dispatched or not. And you have the double asterisk in the planned order or in the operation. In PPDS, either the status is scheduled or deallocated of the operation. Here in this ASB, you can see if the order is scheduled or deallocated based on the legend. If you see in the legend, you can see if there is, for example, a bar in the middle means that this order is deallocated.
Okay. So what I meant, Nikhil, actually, I'm from PP background. So we use CM25 key code to schedule, and then finally what we call the dispatch the orders. What Mesdi just mentioned about that, this is, I think, what you call the scheduled in PPDS. So I was looking, is this the same app we use for the schedule the orders also, or for the scheduling do we use some other app?
No, you can do the scheduling here. You can do the scheduling here. You can convert the plan order into a process order here also. There is
okay.
So if you mean with the dispatch, what I understand, you want to convert the plan order into a process order, then yes, this tool can be used for that.
No, actually, schedule what we say I mean dispatch in PP word. What we say when his order has been released and all good, but not has been scheduled yet. So dispatching is same as a scheduled, like really, the dispatch like scheduled already on.
Dispatch mean it's consume, it's on the resource and it's consume the capacity.
Yeah, that's what we say in PP.
This is totally equivalent to scheduled status. If the operation is scheduled, it's consuming the capacity. If it is deallocated, meaning it's not dispatched, it's not going to be consuming any capacity.
Okay, yeah, that's what. So Nikhil, whenever we say dispatch, I think that's in PPDS word, it means they scheduled.
Yeah, schedule. So you can do the scheduling. Yes, to answer your question, then yes, you can do the scheduling through this board. Okay, and you can adopt it and then you can save it. You can see this is you can adopt and save it and confirm also. So yeah,
perfect.
Okay. And you can see this is graphical representation. Okay, let me go that what it means that. Okay, what is legend? Okay, so yeah, you can see this sequence dependent setup. Okay, so if you have a process order, so it will have a different color and symbol. Okay, so by looking into that graphical, a planner can know this is what a plan order or process order. Okay, so
got it.
Okay, so these are advanced feature in the PPDS through Fury apps which SAP has brought. Okay, and look and feel is very good, and planner find easy to operate on these particular things. Okay, so there are multiple what I can say scenarios are there. For an example, let me go to what we can do in the ePPDS. Okay, basically, let me share those also to you. Okay.
So by the time Nikhil, you're sharing it, right? So in this participant list, we may have a mix of participants with different exposures, different experience, right? And at times, whenever we look at such complex transactions or functionalities, it tends to give us a question that whether this is the right amount of curriculum for me to aspire, right? So do not worry about complexities. What we will try to go ahead during the curriculum is we will start from the basic, because we may have participants from different backgrounds. Our intention is not to speed up any training discussion. We have to make sure everybody from the enrolled participants are feeling comfortable with this training, right? And during that process, during initial days, if we realize that some of the participants are with a heavy experience than others, and if they start asking complex questions, we will take those questions separately, right? We don't want to disturb the training curriculum momentum. Intention is to make sure all participants understand this functionality, and that's how we will try to schedule this session.
Exactly.
Yeah, go ahead.
Correct. Yeah, right. Okay. So, what we will do in this session, I will try to couple of scenarios which business at present they are using it with the ePPDS. You can see these scenarios. These are the complex scenarios which business at present they are using it through this ePPDS. For an example, you can see in the screen. Okay, there is a resource networking which I have said. Campaign planning is there. Okay, and there is capacity leveling based on the setup group. Okay, those are the very live what I can say scenarios currently being used. So we will touch base that also within the system, and we'll try to showcase this. Okay, that's our objective and goal in this session. So once we have finished this, so you should not feel that I have not end-to-end scenario I have not seen. So we will try to simulate or run one end-to-end MRP run through ePPDS. If you can see this flow, so this entire flow up till conversion of the plan order to a process order. Okay, we will try to showcase in the session in the system. So that we will have a confidence. Make sense? Yeah. So any question, Sam, any further topic you want to cover?
No, Nikhil, I think the intention of today's session was also trying to give more visibility to participants, clarifying what exactly is about this PPDS process, what we are trying to achieve as part of this training curriculum, right? And be assured, whoever has enrolled, we will keep a normal pace during initial sessions so that everybody comes to the same level of understanding, and then we will get the momentum, right? So intention is to make sure we understand thoroughly the configuration part of production planning and detailed scheduling, the actual use case scenarios from user perspective, and then try to see how we can model the solution, right? While doing that, we may also touch base across integration topics between S4 and S4 ePPDS, and what are the possible ways this integration can be done, how it can be monitored and troubleshooted for any issue perspective, right? So with the end of this curriculum, we can at least aspire to be a S4 ePPDS consultant, a super user, a business analyst, even from the process exposure perspective, right? As Bhupendra has already indicated, probably for today as well, if anybody is yet thinking about enrolling, there is still a discount applicable. So you can think over. From next week onwards, we will officially start the batch, and we will officially kick off the training part as Nikhil indicated, right? So we anticipate if any enrollment has to be done, please do it during this week so that we don't end up continuing the basic overview sessions again and again, right? And we'll actually get to the point of actual training curriculum from next Saturday. I think somebody has a pointer. Go ahead. Yeah, EP, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I think I covered this overview session of ePPDS. Okay, with the flow, what ePPDS had, what scenario we can build up, what is the Fury app is doing. Okay, and in detail we will be talking about all these boxes which you have seen. That in detail we will be seeing in the session how to configure the one-time the ePPDS, what the materials are there, how the resource has been set up, build material, production version, multiple production, how the PDS is being generated, okay, and how the consumption strategy is being used or configured, okay, and then we will run the unconstrained and constraint algorithm, okay, and we'll do the capacity leveling based on the setup, okay, and then we'll try to do the fixing of the plan order, convert the process order, and we'll end the cycle. So these all three process part end to end, we will be we will be showcasing with some few of the example data in today's system.
Nikhil?
Yeah.
Yes, some of us have a need to see a hierarchy, a work center hierarchy within this realm. Is it possible for us to do that when the time comes?
Can you please, I didn't get your question. Can you please repeat, sir?
So if I understood correctly, Nikhil, are we also aiming to cover the work center hierarchy part during the training curriculum?
Work center hierarchy, can you elaborate? What do you mean by work center? Because what part of work center hierarchy you want to? Because
Well,
what I understand in work center, there is only a capacity, how to define. So
exactly. So we want to see aggregated capacities within the board, so we can see how those capacities are being distributed real time. As it's a little bit complicated on my end. So we'd like to have a small hierarchy in there with capacities, pooled capacities assigned to it, and see how it works dashboard.
Yeah, definitely. We will be having that particular work sector hierarchy capacity, because after all, we will be running the MRP, which read the resource capacity, and it will, which we can be seen in the one of the app which we have seen. Okay, and there is one more app available. We will be explaining that particular detail mentioned in that app. Okay, where you will get how my capacity has been calculated. Correct. So yes, to answer your question, we will be seeing the resource capacity also.
Right. So Nikhil, what I'm trying to visualize EP's question was, I mean, normally when we do this production planning run, right, it tries to identify the resource or work center associated with it and do the capacity leveling, capacity calculation at a work center level.
Yes.
Right. Is there a concept of logical grouping of those work center in a work center hierarchy? And can I able to aggregate those work center using that work center hierarchy and do the capacity planning or capacity leveling at the aggregated level? Was it the correct question, Emery?
Yes, in some of my reviews of the system, I came across a transaction where it does just that. It aggregates the capacities in a work center hierarchy. So I'd like to see how that's done and how to best use pooled capacities, whether we reference pooled capacities at each level or we just use a single pooled capacity at all levels. So we can see how each of the resources are utilizing the capacity.
Each of the resources, how it is utilized, yes, we can showcase that. But with the aggregated, I didn't get that scenario. If your question is more related to the resource networking, resource network, there is a concept or a scenario called the resource network. Okay, what I mean to say, there is one particular material which can be planned on multiple resources. Okay, if there is no capacity available for one resources, can my plan automatically shift to another resource? If this is a question, yes, that scenario is possible and supported by PPDS.
No, that's actually a second scenario, but that's really important to us as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Well,
So
as we get into it, we'll come across it. I'll give you an example of what I was looking at.
Exactly.
Sure.
So
Sure.
yes, so what we will do, we will be showcasing first resource networking scenario, and once we see that, and if you have any question, we will take that and we will try to explain the aggregated capacity, what you are looking for it. Yes.
Thank you.
Right. And as we indicated, some of you may have some exposure to these terminologies. Some of you may not have. Do not worry about it. During the curriculum, again, I'm repeating, we will go a bit slow. Unless you feel comfortable, we will not move ahead, right? Those terminologies, the understanding of those terminologies, understanding of those planning functions, associated configuration is a key. So we'll make sure you're comfortable in that. Participants who were part of our earlier sessions or earlier training curriculums would know how we pace up our training. So we just want to assure you that this would be more from the actual live use case based training rather than a simply PPT based. Right? We take a pause here. If there is any question, we can take it ahead. Otherwise, we are good to close the call.
Yes, I mean, as you mentioned, it will be more like a scenario-based training. That would be great. So that way, I think we can get more, the clear differences between PP and PPDS, right? So,
Yes.
thanks.
Thank you. Thank you all. Thanks, Nikhil. Thanks for.
Thanks. Thank you. See you.